I'm Yolanda Moore. I am a retired WNBA player, and I also played overseas for 3 seasons.
Hi, I'm Jory Davis. I am a professional athlete overseas and entrepreneur in sports tech.
Kyle Rhines, played overseas basketball in the EuroLeague for 16 seasons, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shalonda. I go by Lala. It's easier to pronounce and remember. I'm a professional athlete, and I also am a coach.
A former professional soccer player, now athlete entrepreneur.
She's going to share the perspective as we talk about ways to support women's sports and some of the things that they endure in this target segment of the athlete community. She's going to share her background. She's going to share being someone a little younger in the business, but then also some things that she's doing to build her platform as an athlete CEO. So you came out in what year?
Overseas or
In college. You came out of college.
2020.
2020, all right? So talk about that experience. We've got some students and student athletes in the space, right? What was your experience like transitioning from being a collegiate student athlete to becoming a pro? And it sounds like around COVID, right? Because they were shutting the borders down then. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. What was that experience like?
Oh, okay, short story. Well, first of all, in college, my sophomore year and my senior year, I tore my ACL. My left one in 2018, my right one in 2020. So that was that. I majored in psychology. Yes, look at the knees. I got the scars to prove it. I got the scars to prove it. But I mean, that happens in basketball. And I majored in psychology, good thing, because I know a little bit about mental health. And so even with the things that I knew about it, it was so difficult for me to handle the situation I was going through. The first surgery, I had a trainer with me. The second surgery, I did not. So I had to remember the things that I did in the first surgery in order to get over the second one by myself. On top of that, I'm recovering from this. I have a fat knee. I'm working 2 jobs. I work at a movie theater and I'm working at Lowe's, lifting lumber in the lumber department for old men. Like, it's a lot going on. It was painful. It was hard. And even though I went through a lot of pain physically, the most pain that I felt was mental because of depression. Going to practice and watching my teammates run up and down the court. I have to learn how to walk again. You know how hard that is? Some people might, some people don't, but it's extremely hard. Learning how to go up the stairs. Even then, after both years, I became a better player, mentally and physically, despite what I went through. I gained 30 pounds during the summer while I'm working, went through depression, had to pull myself out of that depression, get in shape, get ready for season, and I elevated my last senior year. And my coach came to me and said, I know you went through a lot. I know you love basketball. You're a great player, but do you want to play overseas? I said, yeah, I want to play overseas. I didn't came all this way for nothing, of course. So then he was like, okay, got me in contact, and I got contacted with a 2 Points agency, which today is kind of like a full circle moment. I'm waiting to talk to Dr. J, and I turn around and my agent's behind me, who I've never met in my entire life, and I've known him for the past 4 years. Lorenzo, where you at? And the other thing, Dre, I don't think you know this, maybe you do, but she's one of the first people that I reached out when I was in college through Instagram. Because for me, one thing I know about myself is I love to connect, I love to network. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna stalk whoever I need to. I will copy and paste in whoever's DMs and emails I need to in order to get where I need to be. And she was one of them, and she was actually one of the few that responded. And it's crazy to this day, some of the pros, some of them in the W, I see them in person and we meet and they're like, oh, add me on Instagram. I'm like, okay, so I add them and I go to my inbox and I'm like, oh, 4 years ago, I texted you and I was like, did you have any advice on what agency for me to choose or any advice you can give me for overseas? And I never got a response. I was like, oh, I know, things are busy. But Joy was one of them to get back to me. And still, like, you know, we're talking, I told her, like, hey, I'm coming. She's like, oh, can't wait to see you. And I'm like, this is crazy. And 4 years ago, I wouldn't have known that I was gonna be where I am today. But transitioning from college to overseas, I always say, just like in college, treat it like a job. When you're in school, your grades is your paycheck. Your coach, your teachers, that's your boss. And the work that you do physically and in the schoolwork, that's just what you do, that's your job. So when I went overseas, I treated it as that. And my first year was rocky, like you said, going in 2020. I played in 3 countries in 4 months because of COVID. So Belgium, Czech Republic, which was horrible for me. And then it was Belgium, and then France. I had the time of my life. It was difficult. I could have went to Greece after that, but I decided to go home because I'm like, look, I'm sick of this. Let's try again next year. It wasn't the right time for me. But I learned a lot about myself, for one, being alone. If you're gonna go overseas, you need to be okay with being alone. So love yourself, know yourself, and being isolated, that's something you signing up for. 8 months for women, probably 10 months for men. You guys have it longer, so it's just like, you have to know yourself in order to be with yourself. A lot of people can't do it because they don't know how to be alone. They can't take it. And I've had teammates that had to go home, great players, amazing players, but they had to go home because I don't know how to be by myself, I'm going crazy. Nobody's speaking English. Like, I asked her a question, she gonna ask me in Turkish. Like, what makes you think I know what you're saying, girl? So I'm like, okay, how about you learn the language or try to learn the language? After a couple months, you begin to pick up on stuff quickly. And it's just like, okay, well, I guess I kind of know Turkish now. I guess I'm learning Slovakian now. I know a little Spanish, so okay, Spain's cool. But you have to learn how to adapt. And as athletes, we are chameleons. It's really easy to get somewhere and say, okay, you want me to do what? You want me to pass the ball? Okay, but when you have to live somewhere for so long and you have to be in a city and eat the type of food that's different, it's a lot of adjusting. But if basketball is your passion and if it's something you want to do, then you're going to put up with that and you're going to make the best out of it.
Former athletes, and all of you, at some point in time, you're going to become a former athlete. Separating yourself from that identity is one of the scariest things in the world.
Like I told you at the beginning, like everything you do now, as long as you do it in your next field, next arena, next whatever, you'll still be successful. And so it's awesome that that's who you are. And so walk in that. And so I think that would be the first thing I would say is just stand in being more than an athlete. The other thing is the only thing that I have found that can occupy your entire identity, and I don't want to make this weird or anything, but for me, I'm a daughter of God. And my faith is a huge part of my life, and that's the only one identity that can encompass all of me and can never be taken away.